Welcome to Straight No Chaser. So grab a glass and join your hosts, your girl Ann BZ, Pastor C, Thin Bad, and the Chief.
Welcome to Straight No Chaser, where we never dilute the issues, we only serve the hard stuff. It's your girl, Aunt Beezy, and as always, I'm here with my fabulous co-hosts, Thin Bad.
Hey, hey, hey.
And the Chief.
Hey there.
So, I'm sure by now you've heard some shocking news about Empire star Jussie Smollett. According to USA Today, Smollett was approached in the early hours of Tuesday morning by two people who gained his attention by yelling out racial and homophobic slurs towards him. After that, the two men, who were also wearing ski masks, approached him, where they began attacking him. He actually suffered from a broken rib, and they also poured bleach on him and wrapped a rope or a noose around his neck. Smollett went to Northwestern Memorial Hospital to have the cuts on his face and neck treated. He was described as being in a good condition, and on Wednesday, his representative, Pamela Sharp, told USA Today that he was recovering well. Chicago police confirmed that Smollett said in a follow-up interview the next day that his alleged attackers yelled, "This is MAGA country." If this incident is as reported by the media, this is an absolute outrage, and best believe we're going to talk about it. Also tonight, in the second half of our show, we are going to discuss a very sensitive issue, which is elder care or elder scare. Parents and grandparents are special people. They give us love, taught us how to ride bikes, how to shave, how to put on makeup, the meaning of life, and a host of other valuable life lessons. I have very fond memories of my grandparents coming to my school plays, taking me to the zoo, and of course, you can't forget the incredible holiday gatherings. Unfortunately, though, life happens, and our parents and grandparents age, and health challenges of some type begin to occur. Some people have challenges that are worse than others, but there may come a time that a family may have to make the gut-wrenching decision to put mom or grandma or grandpa into alternative care. And there are so many decisions that have to be made, and sometimes not a lot of time to consider all of the options. So other times, the family may have time to process the information, but they can't afford the care or don't have access to resources that can assist with the decision-making process. So I know they're completely two unrelated issues, but this is really my fault, because I could not let this Jussie Smollett situation go. So I told my fabulous co-hosts that we need to incorporate into the show because I am bothered. So before we talk about these issues, let me remind our listeners to call us at 702-425-7789 or chat with us live to share your thoughts about everything going on that we're talking about tonight. So, Chief, you and Thin Bad, let's begin with this Jussie Smollett incident. What are your thoughts initially?
Well, it's certainly a horrible situation as it's reported, and just like you said, just the information that's been released by the police department says that there's some serious things going on. I will say that I'm just waiting to see what the investigation reveals at this point.
Right.
Because there's still a lot of questions that haven't been answered. And, of course, from my previous life, I start asking certain questions immediately. But I'm going to let Thin Bad throw his hat in there, and then I'll share some additional thoughts.
Yeah, I'm anxious to hear your thoughts too. I just thought it was, it just seemed so random. It seemed so ridiculous, and listening to, I think I saw the Lee Daniels post where he talked about having bleach thrown on him. He not deserving to have bleach thrown on him and things like that, or whatever the substance was. But then my initial question then was, well, who the hell drives around with bleach in their car or some kind of something? I mean, clearly they were planning to do something to someone, and I think
it was just kind of caught in the crossfire.
Right. So, and I don't know, in different reports, I'd heard that they called out to him or knew who he was, knew that he was on the show or something like that. But still, even in knowing who that is, what's the likelihood of just kind of driving through and, let's just, put on our MAGA hats and run out and, put a noose around someone's neck. And it's just...
Yeah. Honestly, to me, it sounded like they had planned on... Because it happened outside of a subway in New York City. Mm-hmm. And to me, it sounded like they were riding around or walking around already intending to do something. But they happened to see him because in one of the reports, like you said, it was almost like somebody had called out like, oh, isn't that explicit from Empire? And then all of a sudden the encounter happened. So to me, I mean, that's how I took it. Like, it was something like these guys possibly might have already had the stuff like, oh yeah, we're about to go harass some black gay people tonight, or some black people. Who knows what their real target was, whether if it was a gay or black. It just sounds like it was overall just some homophobic, racist thing. But it sounded to me like they were planning on doing some sort of attack on somebody, and it was like, oh, the gay black guy from Empire, jackpot.
Right. Was it New York or was it Chicago?
So I thought he was taking a flight from Chicago to New York, and it happened in New York.
No, it
happened in Chicago.
Happened in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Happened in Chicago. Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
But still, no matter where it happened,
right.
It makes no sense. But New York being the melting pot that it is with all the arts and everything, and Chicago is a melting pot too. But it sounded more. I could
see it happening
in Chicago
more,
than in New York. Yeah, because there's probably a little more love in New York. But still, it's just wherever it happens, it's crazy. That on the heels of the what happened the week before,
right?
Again, where this MAGA hats come into play again, and this entitlement is run amok.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to bring up to you guys, because it's like people are getting real bold with these MAGA hats, man. Like, you have to ask at some point, like, it just seems like time and time again, people try to dismiss this idea that the message that Trump is giving out behind this whole Make America Great Again is, people try to debate, oh, well, that's not what he means. But it's like, obviously, people are taking it as a rite of passage to do these kind of things. So it's like, at this point, this is not random. I mean, even during his campaigning process, you had people at his rallies getting beat up, and he made those comments like, oh, like, people get roughed up, like, that's what happens, stuff like that. So it's like, I mean, when you think you can do stuff like that, you're gonna do it.
Yeah, they keep tying these hats. These MAGA hats are becoming, in the black community, what the hoodies were becoming to the white community. And it's not the same at all, and anywhere near as hoodies are way more random and have absolutely nothing to do with anything. Where a MAGA hat is definitely making a statement, at least one statement, and probably two, where people are trying to be identified and connected to a certain thing. So it's interesting how this plays out, and of course, people are, it's almost like they're saying they've got a license, as you were saying, to do this because well, the president says these things, so if the president of the United States can talk like this, well, we certainly,
Right.
within our bounds to do that. Not even, not looking at the ridiculousness of who happens to be sitting in the seat at the time, but it's just something's got to be done.
Well, we have a caller, so I'm going to put the caller in. Caller, you are on the air with Straight No Chaser.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
My name is Robbie Williams, and I am a nursing home administrator in Nevada. I've been a nursing home administrator for over 20 years. In fact, I'm licensed in Nevada and for California.
Sure. How are you? And
I'm good.
did you have some thoughts about the Jussie Smollett? We're definitely going to get to, I heard the nursing home. We're definitely going to get to that point, but we were actually talking about Jussie Smollett. Did you want to comment on that?
Well, it's just so terrible. We are in 2019 and we're still going through hate.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's got to improve. We have to speak out about it. We have to feel compassionate about it. We have to teach. I think it starts with teaching our children and accepting there's difference in all of us. So what happened to him is just upsetting and very unneeded,
Yes.
Sure, I agree with you, caller. And I'm going to, if you guys will indulge me just for a minute, because I saw things just a little bit differently with this. And, you guys know my background. I did a couple of minutes in law enforcement. And so some of the things that I'm seeing or not seeing are giving me a little bit of concern. And I'm just hoping that these details will eventually come out and it will put this whole sordid incident in a different, or not a different light, but it'll expose the entirety of the situation. Thin, Bad, and Ambezi, I certainly agree that if these guys are running around in mega hats and just doing all those types of things, that absolutely is unacceptable, and we certainly don't need people of any race or any creed running around assaulting people in such a horrible manner. With this situation, there's some of the things though that I haven't heard is, for example, they haven't been able to locate any video from this incident. Now, if you're on a subway, subways in America, particularly in Chicago.
Well, I mean the restaurants.
Well, even with the restaurants, allegedly now there are reports that this happened in the subway system. They haven't been able to locate any video. They haven't been able to locate any video in any of the surrounding businesses and facilities and of anything. And with some of the businesses, like you will have anywhere in America, some of the camera systems are a bit outdated, and I'm sure they couldn't capture anything. Others of them haven't been able to catch anything anyway. Now, I'm saying that not knowing where these businesses are located and what angles they have and so forth. But I just find that a little bit odd, and that we haven't heard anything about any video from the scene itself. Now, there may be some available that the police are not sharing because it may hinder the investigation, which is what I'm hoping is the case. The other thing that I was just wondering about is you have the gap in time between what happened and actually contacting the police. I understand there was about a 40-minute delay between the incident and Mr. Smollett making it home and contacting the police.
Well, he didn't. I think it's because he didn't go home. After the incident, he took himself to the hospital. So it probably took him a while to get himself to a hospital injured like that. and then report.
Yeah, and see,